Edwin Canestracci here, drinking a cherry vanilla Coke Zero. There you go, cherry vanilla Coke Zero. Yeah, it's the middle of the day. I'm about to go to Memorial Day, get together with my family. There's gonna be drinking there, so I'm taking it easy right now. Sometimes you gotta be strategic with that shit. But before I went to that, I wanted to do this quick video. I'm gonna try to make it quick anyway, relatively so, about 30 minutes. Let's see if I hit that mark. Like a month ago or so, I did an Oasis video where it was an Oasis rankorama where I ranked every Oasis video. And at the end of that video, I said I was going to do another video where I tackled Liam and Noel's respective solo careers. And then I was going to tell you who I think won or was currently winning. I was going to do this Noel versus Liam video. And then I was looking at the release date for Liam's new album, Come On, You Know. And I thought, you know, I should hold off. I should wait until Come On You Know, comes out, and then I can make it a hybrid Come On You Know review, and also give my opinion about their respective solo careers. So I decided to do that. So you're getting two for the price of one, Oasis fans, or maybe you're just a fan of this guy. But either way, you're gonna listen to what I gotta say. I'm gonna start with the Noel versus Liam section to kind of build up to my more detailed review of Come On You Know, because I'm not gonna go track for track for all the other solo albums. I'm just gonna hit the albums, give you a sense of what they're about, if you haven't heard them or listened to them, and give you my general impression of those albums. So you're gonna get just a general impression of those albums and how I rank them and how I compare them. And then when we finally get to Come On You Know, then I will do a proper track by track detailed review. So let's get to this. Actually, it was Liam who got the jump in terms of a solo career. It wasn't really a solo career. He had another band. He took a couple of the other blokes from Oasis and they formed a band called Beady Eye. Horrible, horrible name for a band. I think it was a dig at Noel. Maybe that was something Liam called Noel. I don't know. But anyway, it's a shitty name for a band. And their first album, Different Gear, Still Speeding, from 2011, that's my opinion of it. It's not horrible, but you could definitely see that this is Oasis without Noel Gallagher's songwriting. It's like, whoa, Noel Gallagher really did bring a lot to that band as a songwriter. It's essentially lesser Oasis. There are a few good tracks on it, a few songs I like, always like Liam's voice. It's essentially kind of garage rock, Brit rock, it's pretty straightforward. It's actually a pretty straightforward British invasion style rock and roll record. Very old school. And obviously this was Liam saying, hey, I'm the rock and roll guy in the band, and this is a rock and roll record. It's just, the songs just aren't that great for the most part. So I'd just say it was an average album. And I'd say it's the weakest album from either brother post-Oasis, and weaker than any Oasis album. So, not so bad. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a bad album. I just think it's, not a strong start after the brothers split. Then Noel Gallagher released, this is interesting too, because really, the brothers for a bit there, it's like they're having a conversation with each other, with their albums. They're continuing their argument with their albums. So, later that year, in October of 2011, Noel Gallagher released, again, technically a band, but really we all kind of think of it as his solo career, Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. And both the band that he formed post-Oasis and the album is called Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Great album. I love it. Totally owned Liam. There's no question here in 2011 who was winning. Definitely Noel was winning here. And I will say this is a kind of a more subtle, mature side of Noel Gallagher, and it felt like an extension from Oasis. Definitely, if you liked Oasis and you liked the Beatles and British rock and roll, you'll like this. But it definitely was a more subtle and mature album. So it takes a few listens for it to really sink in. Like, I always liked it, but I didn't love it until recent years. Like, I really grew to love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the production. It's got a lot of soul to it. And it's a great album, very tuneful, and it showed all the great things that Noel Gallagher brought to Oasis. And I think he's also an underrated singer. I really love his voice. I admit, I am more of a Liam guy, as I explained in that Oasis rankorama, but Noel's got a wonderful voice, and he's a wonderful songwriter, crackerjack songwriter, and this is a wonderful album, and I think it's still his best album. So there you go. Out of the gate, after Oasis, I think Noel Gallagher did his best album. This is his best album post-Oasis. Although there is one album that's grown a lot, and it's kind of riding its ass. But this is definitely his best album. He peaked early in the post-Oasis Brother Wars. So Noel's winning now. And then in 2013, there's the second and last BDI album, B. Has a very sexy album cover. I do like the album cover. And I like the album better than the first one. It's actually less rock and roll. It's more of an experimental kind of psychedelic rock album. A little similar to Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. Not as strong as that. Because again, it's lacking the Noel Gallagher songwriting. But the songs are a little bit better than the first BDI album. It sounds like Liam and company were trying to match Noel. You know, they were trying to keep up with him and put out an album that had a little more substance and a little more thought behind it. But still not as good as Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. Just not as good. But a decent album. And if you like psychedelic rock, yeah, give it a listen. Next is Noel Gallagher's next album. Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds next album. That's a fucking mouthful. I'm just saying Noel Gallagher from this point on, alright? Noel Gallagher's Chasing Yesterday from 2015. Now this feels like this is his answer to B. And it's a little bit better than B. But not as good as the first High Flying Birds album, in my opinion. Although I do really like this album. I don't love it, but I do like it. I think it's a good album. It shows him moving a little more in the poppier side. There's a little touch of psychedelia in this, a little more soul influence. Still has some 60s and 70s style rock. It's a nice mixture. It's got a nice vibe to it. And I like it. There's a few moments where it almost veers a little, I think, dangerously close to Coldplay style, middle of the road kind of soft rock. I feel that's something that Noel needs to look out for, because that is something he does from time to time, where in his solo career, he gets a little too soft, a little too saccharine, and a little too poppy for my taste at times. And this is the album where he really kind of first starts doing that a little bit. But still, overall, a pretty good album, and he's still a crackerjack songwriter, and it's still better than BDI. Okay, then BDI disbanded, and Liam fucked off for a while. He went into hiding. He needed to lick his wounds because obviously Noel was beating him at this stage. In the mid-2010s, Noel was clearly the brother that was winning, and Liam had to rethink it. He needed to go back, nurse his wounds, get his life in order, get his personal life in order, and get his shit together. And who knows, maybe it paid off. Anyway, so while he's doing that, while he's licking his wounds and regrouping, Noel doesn't actually release an album either, interestingly. It's almost as if the brothers need each other to inspire them to put out albums. Interesting, because I'm looking at this and I'm going, yeah, Noel didn't release his third album until after Liam came back from nursing his wounds. It's almost like if Liam wasn't out there trying to do something, Noel wasn't interested in doing something either. I mean, yeah, he still played with the band and they had some gigs and stuff like that, but he didn't release another album until after this album, the proper beginning of Liam Gallagher's solo career as a solo artist, As You Were, from 2017. That's right, in October 2017, Liam released his very first solo album, As You Were, and let me tell you something, modern day classic. Love this album. Man, this is one of the great comebacks. Did he really get his shit together? On the next album and on the latest album, Liam has brought in a lot of different producers and outside writers to help him craft a lot of great songs. But on this album, a lot of the songs, if you look at the songwriting credits, a lot of these songs are written by Liam, by himself. You know, he does have talented producers that are helping him bring these songs to life, but you can tell that Liam obviously, like again, he was nursing his wounds, he was getting his life together personally, and while he was doing it, he was honing his craft as a songwriter, and he was writing some of the best songs he had ever written. Towards the later days of Oasis, he was starting to contribute some songs, and they were decent songs. Still not quite as good as Noel's songs, but they were good. Here, though, he steps up. These are songs that are in my opinion, on the same quality as a lot of Noel's songs. And they're definitely better than the shit on Beady Eye. It's a great pop rock album. It's a little poppier than you would expect from Liam, but it's like Rolling Stones kind of pop rock. You know, it has attitude and swagger, and I love it. It's a great pop rock album. It's really catchy. Almost every song on this album sounds like a single. It's a great comeback. And what do you know who was right on his tails with another album the next month? That's right. This was the fucking fall of the Gallagher brothers throwing it down creatively, because the following month, in November of 2017, Noel Gallagher released his third album, Who Built the Moon. Interesting album. When I first heard it, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at first. I thought, oh, what's this? You know, it was like psychedelic, ravey pop rock, and I didn't like it. But you know what? It's a grower, and now I love it, and it's easily my second favorite album from Noel Gallagher. That's right. I think it's even better than Chasing Yesterday. I just feel like Chasing Yesterday is like a lesser High Flying Birds debut, whereas this is a whole new album. This is like a whole new style. He's really branching out. Even where it's poppy, it's kind of trippy and experimental, and it's actually, I think, a little bit better than Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. I think the songs are a little stronger for the most part on this album, and I think it's great. I think it's a great album. If you like psychedelia, if you like British rock, if you like a little bit of a better dancey pop, you know, stuff with a little more substance to it, then this is a great album to get into, and you just give it some time. Give it some time, and you can get into this album. But is it better than As You Were? Ooh. If it was a year ago, I would have definitely given this to As You Were, because As You Were, I immediately loved, whereas this was a grower. But now, I don't know, they're kind of close. I might give As You Were a slight edge, because it's just a little more rock and roll, and overall, I think it's actually a little catchier. That's right, Liam wrote an album that's a little catchier without Noel. Whoa! So, I'm giving it to Liam. Liam has finally edged out Noel, and Liam is now the top Gallagher brother. He's winning in 2017. Well, does he keep winning? Well, yeah, he keeps winning. And not only that, he keeps winning in a bigger way, because his next album in 2019 is competing against a series of EPs that Noel released, all right? Noel's EPs, it was 2019. It gets a little complicated, but I'm going to steer you through this. In 2019, Noel released the Black Star Dancing EP. He followed this with the This Is the Place EP, and finally, the Blue Moon Rising EP. Essentially, this is the fourth High Flying Birds album. This is his follow-up to Who Built the Moon, and it sounds like it. But it's not as good as Who Built the Moon. What I did is, he spread this out, you know, these songs between 3 EPs, but you just put it together and you got an album. It's an album's worth of songs, and they all flow together. They all sound like they were recorded around the same time. That's what I did. So I made a little like compilation where I put all these songs together, and I'm judging this as an album. And I'm judging this as the album to battle Why Me, Why Not. And there's no question that Why Me, Why Not is better than this. There are some good songs. You know, I do like some of the songs on it, especially when they're the poppier, kind of just pop rock songs. But some of these dance songs, they're just like, they just sound like generic club songs from Noel. Like, unlike the stuff on Who Built the Moon, where they sounded more like psychedelic rock club songs, a couple of these songs just sound like just straight up generic dance songs with just Noel singing, and I don't think his voice even really fits this kind of music. I would put this material over the first Beady Eye album, but that's about it. So this is definitely Noel's weakest material post Oasis. And Liam then went ahead and released his best album yet, in my opinion, in 2019, Why Me, Why Not? Whoa, what an album. In fact, I think it's better than most Oasis albums. The only Oasis albums I would put above this album are the first 3. That's it, just the first 3 Oasis albums, and the Master Plan, if we were counting the Master Plan. So that's it. If we're counting the Master Plan, I'd only put 4 Oasis albums ahead of Why Me, Why Not. Why Me, Why Not is a goddamn rock and roll masterpiece, and this one is rock and roll. Yeah, it has some poppier moments, but it's definitely more rock and roll than As You Were. And it's still the most rock and roll thing Liam has released post Oasis, in my opinion, with good songs. I mean, the first Beady Eye album was rock and roll, but the songs just weren't that hot. Whereas this, song after song, just like As You Were, every song sounds like a single on this album. Every song sounds like a single. It is so relentlessly catchy and rockin', and Liam sounds so great on it. Some of his best vocals he's done since the early days of Oasis. He sounds invigorated, and this is like the victory lap album. Like, yeah, my comeback is in full effect, man, and he's fucking taking it home. Who would have thought this in 2019? Liam was totally owning Noel. But he was, in my opinion. I still like some of Noel's stuff. Like I said, I liked a handful of songs on the EPs, but can't compare to Why Me, Why Not, in my opinion. So as of then, in 2019, everything had flipped. You know, black was white, white is black. Where after Oasis, right after Oasis, Liam had the weakest album, and Noel had the best album in his career, as it's turned out, because he still has not bested Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, in my opinion. And then, in 2019, everything was reversed, whereas Noel is now the one releasing his weakest material post-Oasis, and Liam has just released his best album, in my opinion. Essentially, this is what the Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds debut was for Noel. This is for Liam. And I still think that. So this is going to lead us into the Come On You Know review. I still think Why Me, Why Not is Liam's best album. And it's an amazing album. And if you're a fan of Oasis and don't have this album, you're dropping the ball. So now we're hitting the Come On You Know part of this video. Okay, the Come On You Know review part of this video. Just released this week, and I've been listening to it nonstop for the past couple days. Here's the headline. I love it. I think it's great. Another great Liam Gallagher solo album. 3 in a row. Woo! Good job, Liam. You're a top bloke, and you released a top album, and you're still the top Gallagher brother right now. Yep. Noel's in the studio. He's working on a new album. So when that comes out, I will do a review of it, and I'll tell you if Noel has surpassed Liam again. But I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. This is a great album. As of now, I like the first 2 Liam Gallagher solo albums better. I like As You Were and Why Me, Why Not, I like better. But I still really love this album too. You know, it's still better than any Beady Eye album. I would put it on par with Who Built the Moon. It's about on that level. So this is the 3rd best Liam Gallagher album. I think is equal to the 2nd best Noel Gallagher album. And they're very similar. This is kind of like his Who Built the Moon. It's his psychedelic pop rock experimental album. And that's the thing. I guess we should have known this coming because Liam did say this a lot in the press. He was saying that it was a weird album. He described it as weird. And it is a weird album. It's not as the straightforward pop rock album of As You Were or the more straightforward British style rock and roll album as Why Me, Why Not. It's definitely him branching out, doing different things with different producers. Still, his personality is in full effect, and it still colors all these songs. I guess I would just say, yeah, I'm still processing this album. I'd say it's an experimental, at times, psychedelic pop rock album. Maybe not quite as trippy as Who Built the Moon, but similar. If again, like this feels a little bit like a conversation to Noel, like almost like Liam is saying, hey, I can do this kind of stuff too. I can get a little more experimental. I can get into soul music and pop and stuff like you've been doing, but without maybe going too far in that direction like I feel Noel did with some of those EPs. Like there's nothing here that sounds like generic club music. But yet, he does flirt with club music and rave music and soul and R&B. It's a mix. It's a stew. But he does it kind of the way the Stones did that in the 70s. It's a really interesting mix. And now, let's go track by track. More Power. Weird song. The children choir, a little like Rolling Stones, you know, you can't always get what you want, but much weirder than that song. It's very sparse. There's a sparseness throughout this album. And in fact, a lot of times I think it's kind of Bowie-esque. It's very minimalistic, very European, and stripped down. And More Power, it's very stripped down. The lyrics are really great. I really love these lyrics. It's a subtle and mature album, and this is a subtle and mature opening. And then it leads into Diamond in the Dark. I'm still not 100% sold on the sequencing, the way the tracks are placed. I feel like the second song should have been Everything's Electric. I feel like after the more subtle, meditative opener, we should have kicked in with the rock and roll anthem, the upbeat rock and roll anthem. I think that would have worked better, and I still think that after all the times I've listened to this album. But even though the album's not sequenced that way, I still love it, and Diamond in the Dark is a great song. I just don't think it should be the second song. I think it'd be a better, third song on the album. But Diamond in the Dark is great, kind of funky, kind of different. Nothing quite like we've ever heard from Liam Gallagher. It's a little poppier and a little funkier, but it's got swagger, it's got attitude. I love the sound of the guitar during the chorus, and I love a lot of funk music. The last video I did was James Brown. So it's funny, me and Liam are both in a funky place these days. I love it. Great lyrics, great attitude and swagger. Diamond in the Dark's a great song, and it's short and sweet. I really love it. Don't Go Halfway. Now, this is a full-on psychedelic rock song. Kind of sounds like something that could have been on Standing on the Shoulders of Giants or Who Built the Moon. It's a kind of ravey, trippy, psychedelic rock song. And I love it. Great hooks, great melodies, great production. This whole album has a great production, just like the last one, Why Me, Why Not? Great production, and, brings in a little more of the rock, which, we didn't quite get with the first two songs. That's a great song. Then we had Come On You Know. This was one of the singles that was released prior to the album, so I'd already known this song, and I love it. And this is kind of a rock anthem, but a weird, minimalistic kind of European rock anthem. Got also a touch of gospel. Actually, there's a lot of gospel throughout this album. You had a little bit of that in the other two solo albums, but not as much as you do on this album. Definitely, it sounds like he's been listening to a lot of late 60s and 70s Rolling Stones, and so have the producers and songwriters he's been working with. There's definitely a kind of Stonesy gospel vibe running throughout this album. It's positive, too. That's the thing, and I'm going to get into this a little bit more with the next song. But there's a positivity running throughout this album, and it's just what we need right now. In 2022, we need positive music. We need music that uplifts people, and without being wimpy or maudlin. Music with attitude and swagger, but yet positive and wants to lift people up instead of keep them down. That's a running thing. I think that's the big takeaway from this album, is that it's kind of Liam's love letter to the world. If the last album was his personal victory lap, this is him giving a gift to the world and saying, hey, everyone, you're cool too. Get on up. Get on up where I'm at. Let's do this together. Let's not let society bring us down and succumb to negativity and fear. Let's lift ourselves up and take us collectively to a better place. It's a beautiful message, the kind of message that the Beatles used to have, It's great. It's just what we need right now. And this leads into the ballad, Too Good for Giving Up. Oh, love this song. Love this ballad. I got choked up when listening to it. I gotta admit it. I got feelings. I got choked up. It felt like he was singing just to me. And that's the thing. I guess I'm going through some universal shit right now in my life because Liam is singing this kind of universal message and it's connecting with me. Beautiful ballad that is uplifting. It's kind of on the verge of being a little sentimental, but it never quite crosses over. It's a beautiful ballad. I would say it means a lot to me. It means a lot to me, and it made me feel better about where I'm at right now in my life and things that have been going on and changes I'm going through. And a lot of these songs. There's another song. The next song actually did the same exact thing. It Was Not Meant to Be. Oh man, what a great song. It Was Not Meant to Be. Very Rubber Soul. It has that kind of mid-60s Beatles sound. So that's kind of bringing it back to Oasis a little bit with such an obviously Beatlesque tune. And it's wonderful. I love it. I love the lyrics. I love the production. I love the melodies, these great Beatle-esque Rubber Soul melodies, which is probably the album that had the best Beatles melodies, in my opinion. And it's an amazing song. It's a great song. Should be a single. Too Good for Giving Up should be a single, too. So they already got two songs that they have not released as singles yet, which I think could be great singles. Then after that, we have the lead-off single, the big anthemic rocker, Everything's Electric, co-written by Dave Grohl, who also did the drums, great drumming on it, and it's a fucking scorcher. It is the best song on the album, in my opinion. So yeah, you could say the first song you heard was the best song in the album. There's always a little bit of a tinge of disappointment when that happens, when you listen to a new album. But man, this is like one of the great modern day rock songs, so there's nothing wrong with it being the best song on the album. And like I said, I don't really like where it's placed. I think it's odd being placed in the middle of the album. I feel it should have been the second song. But man, it's a fucking scorcher. I love it. So catchy. Love that bass. And even though it's rocking, it's also kind of soulful. Brings that Rolling Stones quality again, but yet modern. Both kind of old school and modern. You could say that for this whole album. This album is both retro and very modern at the same time. And more so than anything Liam Gallagher has done. Even including Oasis. Yeah, this is a little more modern than Oasis has been. The only thing I would really compare it to is Who Built the Moon by Noel Gallagher, which I thought was likewise very modern, yet retro at the same time. And he does the same thing with this album. And with this song, Everything's Electric, it's great. I think it could be the best post-Oasis song, period. From either brother, from either Liam or Noel, this might be the best thing that either brother has done post the first four, and I'm counting Master Plan, first four Oasis albums. It's that good. It's that great. Awesome song. Next is the only song I don't like on the album. Maybe it'll grow me, but World's in Need, I think it's kind of hokey. And musically, it sounds a little like The Who's Magic Bus, but I don't know. It's kind of middle of the road. The lyrics are all right, but I don't know. I just keep listening to this, and I wish, to me, the album would have been perfect, and maybe I would have thought it was better than his first two solo albums if he had maybe made Everything Electric the second song, like I said, and in place of World's in Need, one more rocker. We needed like just one more hard rocker, I felt, on this album. And that, in place of World's in Need, to me, that would have made it perfect, in my opinion. But hey, one song I don't like, and it's not like the worst song ever. It's just, Next is Moscow Rules. Man, great song. Wow, really surprised me. And yeah, weird title. Liam Gallagher talked about this in an interview too, saying he thought it was a weird title. Weird title, weird lyrics, but man, weird in the best way. It's a cool experimental song that does have kind of a Russian sound to it, kind of neoclassical meets electronica. It's offbeat. It's an experimental song. Again, you got to think of things like David Bowie would have done. You know, it's an offbeat, experimental kind of song, and I love it. It's really cool, and Liam nails it with his singing. It's sensual, and it's got an atmosphere, and it's a really cool tune, and it's kind of hard to describe. You gotta just listen to it, but I really love this song. In fact, it's one of my favorite songs on the album. Really cool song. Next is I'm Free. I'm Free is kind of a rocker. It has like a hard kind of punk rock riff. It's got like a punk rock quality to it, but then it gets into some Jamaican dub, and which I like. You've heard me criticize reggae a lot sometimes when white rock artists go reggae. There are a few exceptions though. Like, you know, I love Guns of Brixton by The Clash, and The Police I think did reggae well. And I do like Jamaican dub. I like a lot of Jamaican dub music, especially a lot of stuff that was on the Trojan label, you know, in the 70s and 80s. I like a lot of that stuff. And this kind of worked. It's not overdone. It's just like a little splash of Jamaican dub, and it works with the punk and the attitude. And I like it. It's a cool song. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite songs on the album, but it's a cool song, and to me, it's placed where it should be, you know, and I like it a lot. Next is Better Days, which was the third single released. I was a little underwhelmed, I'll be honest. When I heard the single, I thought, this sounds a little like too much of trying to sound like the 90s. It's like, it's got the Tomorrow Never Knows, like, but done like by the Chemical Brothers. Remember when the Chemical Brothers had that song that had the drum beat that was like Tomorrow Never Knows? It sounds like that drum beat, but with like Verve style strings and then kind of an Oasis melody. It's all right. On the album, I like it better though. Something about the song, especially as if we're not counting the deluxe edition, which I will talk about those two bonus tracks, but if this like is the vinyl version where it's the second to last song, it's a good second to last song, and it's uplifting again. It's a nice anthem, and for the most part, this album definitely has been looking forward more than backwards. So to have one song that kind of looks backwards and kind of creates this kind of the ultimate 90s, British rock 90s song, I think it works well in that regard, and it's well placed on the album, and I think it's a good second to last track. So I like Better Days. It has grown on me. Still not one of my favorite songs on the album, but I do like it. And then, if we're talking about, like I said, the non-deluxe edition, or I don't have the vinyl version, not yet, but I assume this is the last track on the vinyl version, is the 12th track, Oh Sweet Children. Amazing song. I love it. One of my favorite songs on the album. It's another message, a message to the children, which you think would be a corny thing, but Liam sells it. Liam does it in a way where it doesn't sound overly maudlin or hokey. Like, it sounds kind of, it's a little dark, the song. It's a little dark. I love the sound, the weird effect on the guitar during the chorus and the way it sounds. It has a little bit of a sexy Sadie kind of vibe to it. I love Liam's vocals, and the sentiment is like it is a song to the children and to his younger fans that have been getting into him in recent years. And he's essentially saying like, yeah, the world's a dark, fucked up place, and I wish I could do more to help you. And this kind of goes full circle with the first song where he says he wishes he has more power. You know, he wished he had more power. Even as a rock star, there's only so much he can do, and that's kind of what he's saying. So it's kind of a perfect full circle thematically, where he's telling the children who began singing at the beginning of the album, he's kind of telling the children, hey, I don't have the power to really change your life. I can't really change the system. I can't change this corrupt bullshit system that keeps us all divided and many of us poor and suffering and maybe drop the ball big time during a global pandemic. You know, I can't help you in that regard. But what I can give you is love. I can make the darkness a little brighter. You know, I can give you some good songs that can help you through this time period, these dark times that we're kind of going through. He can give you empathy. He can give you understanding. He can give you love. He can give you some catchy songs. But that's pretty much it, and that's going to have to be enough. That's my takeaway from this song, and it's a great ending for the album. But if you have the deluxe edition, which I do, there's actually 2 more great songs in my opinion. So Oh Sweet Children can work well as an ending, but also works well as a third to last track, which it is in my version, in the deluxe version, which I feel anyone getting the digital version, that's the version they'd be getting. And this leads to the 13th track, The Joker. I don't get why the hell on the proper version, like on the vinyl version, the non-deluxe version, I don't know why World's in Need made the cut and the Joker didn't. I would have much preferred the Joker would have made the cut. The Joker's much better in that song, in my opinion. It's great. It's actually one of my favorite songs on the album, and very different from Liam. Again, kind of like Noel has done in recent years with his solo work. He showed like kind of a Motown and soul influence, you know, kind of a Philly soul, early 70s influence, and, you know, even a little touch of Marvin Gaye in the song. It's got that attitude and swagger, and it's great production. And Liam fits this music like a glove, like his swagger and his way of singing, you know, like the geezer at the club who's the top bloke. It fits just as well as it does rock music. I dig it. I think it's a great song. Definitely has a kind of 70s vibe, but done it with modern production. And it has that undercurrent, that gospel vibe that brings out a little Stonesy quality to it. And cool lyrics, cool attitude. I love The Joker. I think it's one of the best tracks on this album and shouldn't have been just a bonus track. But hell, depends on how you listen to it. But this is a great song. And then the last song, Wave. Wave's just kind of a fun... it sounds like something he might do live. It's just like kind of a fun rave rock and roll song. A little, again, kind of like stuff you would have heard from Noel on Who Built the Moon. It's kind of like psychedelic rave dance rock music, but it's also kind of a short and sweet song. Just kind of a fun way to get out of Dodge. I like that song too. And I really love this album. Like I said, there's maybe a moment here or there that I think is not too hot. Really just one song. And even that song's not horrible. I really love it. And I feel like this is going to be a grower. Like Who Built the Moon, I feel like this is an album I might appreciate more and more as the years go by. I don't know if I'll ever like it more than his first 2 solo albums, but it's a worthy follow-up. And it showed that Liam is not a guy you can just put in a box. You know, if Noel was putting him in a box and saying, hey, you're just going to be the nostalgic kind of riding Oasis coattail guy that's just going to make Oasis sounding music, he's showing his brother that that's not the case. He's like, no, I can have some diversity in my music. I can expand while still keeping one foot in the past, but another foot in the future. You know, he could do it both ways. And in a lot of ways, I think this overall album not only is a positive message for the world, I think it's directed at Noel again. Again, like I think all their post Oasis albums, I think the brothers are having a conversation. Come on, you know, like come on, like yeah, we like the same kind of music, brother. I can do rock and roll. I can do psychedelic stuff. I can do kind of ravey stuff. I can do soul music. I can do pop ballads. Hey, let's get together. Let's get together again. And that's, you know, what Liam says in all his interviews. He's like, and this is the thing that I really love about Liam. He has clearly won. He is clearly winning in the Gallagher Brother Wars. Even Noel has given it up to him in recent interviews, admitting that Liam sells more and he's been booking huge gigs. One of the big news stories regarding Liam is that he sold out 2 headline shows, upcoming shows at Nebworth. You know, Nebworth, which was the site of like Oasis's peak in the mid-90s, you know, their big show. There was a documentary recently about it too. And now, on his own, without Oasis, Liam Gallagher has sold out 2 shows at Nebworth. It shows that literally he doesn't need Oasis. He can do it. He can be at that same height, especially in England. Liam Gallagher is like easily one of the biggest stars now again. He's huge in England. And yet, he's still been saying in interviews he thinks Oasis is an awesome band and he still wants to play with his brother again. If anything, the irony now, it seems like Noel's the one kind of living in the past. He's the one that's kind of wants to just make Liam who he was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, where Liam is the one moving on and evolving and being more mature, and he's extending an olive branch, both in interviews but also musically. With this album, I feel it's yet another olive branch. More than Oasis coming back together. To be honest, I don't really care if Oasis get back together, because I think both Liam and Noel produce a lot of really great music on their own. In a way, we might get more music without them getting together. You know what I mean? So I don't really care about that. But I would like to see the brothers get back together again, just for that alone. Just because I want to see brothers get back together again and be friends again, you know, before their mother passes away. It'd be nice. You know, it'd just be nice to see Liam and Noel become friends again. And it does seem like they're taking a step in that direction. You know, they still say some cheeky things about each other to the press, but it's not as venomous as it was a few years back, and they also say a few nice things about each other as well. So I definitely think they're moving in that direction. And that's the thing, and I said this in the end of the last video, I don't like putting the brothers up against one another. I'm both a Liam and Noel Gallagher fan. I'm a fan of both their stuff, and I'm looking forward to Noel's new album that's coming out, and I'm sure it's going to be a little bit better than the EPs. I think he'll be inspired after all this great music that his brother's been making. I think it's going to make him step up his game a little bit again. That's my prediction. My prediction is that Noel Gallagher steps up his game a little bit, and we get a great Noel Gallagher album. And I look forward to it, and I'm going to review it when that comes out. But in the meantime, gotta say, if I gotta pick a winner, Liam's still winning. Liam Gallagher is the winning Gallagher brother after Oasis. Noel started off winning. Liam definitely is on another level now, both in terms of his career, but I think also artistically as well. But hell, it wouldn't surprise me if Noel comes back again, because he's one of the great songwriters, and he makes a lot of great music too. So that was my review of Come On You Know, and that was me weighing in on the Liam versus Noel thing and who I think is winning. So there you go, that's the video. Hope you enjoy it, and goddammit, listen to these albums and support real artists, both brothers. Support both of them, because they're making real music with real musicians, with real songwriters, real singers, with real voices, with real heart and soul. You gotta support that, especially in these times. We need those kind of artists more than ever, so support the Gallagher brothers. It didn't end with Oasis. They're still going strong, and they're still making great music. And that's all I gotta say. Rock on.